Box fighting is the meta in Fortnite, and it's always going to be that way because of how strong building and editing is. So, it's important that you get good at box fighting if you want to succeed in Fortnite. Hi, I'm Cram, and in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can improve your box fighting. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel so when I release a new video, you get notified. Now, what exactly is box fighting? I'm sure that you know already, but let me explain. So your box is a 1x build, just 4 walls around you and a roof above you for protection. And a box fight is when you and an enemy are fighting within a tile of one another and both of you within your own box. Box fighting shouldn't be confused with build fighting, although they are similar. The main difference is that box fights typically happen in a small and confined place. Your goal when box fighting is, obviously, to kill your opponent, and this can be accomplished in a few different ways, which we'll cover now. The first tip I have for you is that you should always try to take control of the builds. When box fighting, you always want to take control of the builds. In other words, you want every floor, stairs, wall, and roof to belong to you. But why does this matter? Well, when you own and control all the builds, then you're in control of the fight. You get to choose where and when the edits take place. You dictate the pace of the fight. And when your opponent is trapped in a box that belongs to you, then they have no way to counter you with builds, and they're helpless. So you want to preemptively take control of the builds. What this means is that you should be thinking about where your opponent wants to move next, so you can cut off their escape. When you watch Fortnite pros play, you'll notice that they rarely get third-partied when box fighting, but I'm sure you've experienced box fights that go on endlessly, with your opponents constantly escaping and running away. You see, Fortnite pro players do things differently to you, and they understand the importance of taking control of the builds in a box fight, so they build in the direction they think their enemy is about to go. When you take control of the roof, your opponent can't edit out the top and take the high ground on you. When you take control of the walls, they can't edit out in that direction. And when you take control of everything, your opponent is helpless and you can get the kill. Now the second tip I have for you is to learn the art of mind games when box fighting. You see, the more advanced you get at box fighting, the more important psychology and mind games become. Let me explain. You're probably already aware of some of the things you can do when build fighting to confuse your opponent. For example, faking a high ground retake in one direction when you actually intend to go somewhere else. Because you go in the opposite direction when your opponent is distracted and looking somewhere else, you can safely take the high ground. In other words, you show your opponent one thing, but you do something else. Well, you can do similar things when box fighting, and here are some examples. You can take out your pickaxe and fake hitting a wall, but then equipping your shotgun. So when your opponent goes for the edit, because he thinks you have your pickaxe out, you're prepared to take a shot. You can also hit one side of a wall with your pickaxe, so your opponent will try to hold that side of the box, and then attacking another side to easily replace that wall. By hitting different sides and moving around, you can use sound cues to your advantage by disorienting your opponent. This is most useful when you're on top of the box, because you can hit different angles. Another thing you can do is editing out a tile in your wall, for example a window, so it looks like you're going to go for a shot, but then instantly resetting the edit of the wall, and you can use your scroll wheel for this as I've covered in another video. Doing this will usually bait your enemy into taking a shot at your newly reset wall. And this can break the build because it has less health when you reset it, and this will leave your opponent completely exposed for an easy kill. Look, you've got to put yourself in the mindset of your enemy. When you see your enemy take out their pickaxe, what would you do? You're instinctively going to go for an edit play because you know they can't shoot you or get any damage off on you when they have their pickaxe out. Now you can reverse engineer these sort of things to your advantage to play mind games with your opponents and confuse them. Because when your enemy is confused and you take them out of their comfort zone and their usual rhythm, they will not be able to play as they would usually like to, and you can get easier kills. Another way you can put yourself in the enemy's shoes is by using the replay system in Fortnite. Because the replay system allows you to watch replays from another perspective, i.e. your opponent's, you can literally watch the fight unfold from the perspective of your enemy and learn from it. Now the third tip I have for you to improve your box fighting is to practice your click timing aim. Your way of aiming can be defined in two ways. You have your tracking aim, which is your ability to follow a moving target with your crosshair when you use an automatic weapon, think an assault rifle or a submachine gun. But your click timing aim is your ability to quickly and accurately move your crosshair onto a target once it's entered your screen, and time your click at the precise moment where your crosshair enters their head or body or whatever. Of course, you want to be good at both tracking and click timing aim, because you'll be using both types of aim when you play Fortnite. But box fighting consists almost exclusively of click timing aim, because you're mostly going to be using your shotgun to do as much burst damage as possible. So how do you train your click timing aim? My preferred way for training aim and mouse movement skills is to play Kovaks FPS Aim Trainer, and here are some example scenarios in Kovaks that are great for practicing your click timing. 1 wall 6 targets TE is a simple and basic scenario that will train your click timing in a 3D space. You also have 1 wall 6 target small, which is a more precise version of the above scenario, so it's better for more advanced players. Tarr Frenzy 180, which is an excellent scenario for practicing wide angle flicks, which has tremendous carryover to your box fighting. Tarr Frenzy Strafing, a better version than the standard Tarr Frenzy because the targets are actually moving, and this will allow you to train your click timing more effectively. And Bounce 180, a scenario to allow you to practice your click timing on moving objects in all movement planes in a 180-degree space. This isn't an exhaustive list, of course, since there are literally hundreds of scenarios in Kovaks. Unfortunately though, Kovaks FPS Aim Trainer is only available to PC players, so if you play Fortnite with a console, or you don't want to pay the price to buy it on Steam, don't worry, because you have another option for training your click timing aim, and it's free and you can do it right now. As you know, Fortnite Creative allows you to create your very own maps, and some players have made maps in Fortnite Creative designed specifically to train your aim. Here are the codes for the best aim training maps in Fortnite Creative. They consist of 2 routines and 10 different scenarios. Routine 1, the code is 6056 6077 9955. And routine 2 is 7244 2038 6095. And I'll leave the link to these in the description. And when you play these maps, you'll train your aim in some interesting and unique ways that will help improve your aim when box fighting so you can get more kills. The next tip I have for you to improve at box fighting is to get more experience. Look, the reason you're not as good as you could be at box fighting could be because you haven't had enough experience. I know it sounds obvious, but the more you practice box fighting, the better you're gonna get. Listen, when you play Fortnite, very little of your time is actually spent fighting, and even less time is spent box fighting. Because Fortnite's a battle royale, you spend a lot of your time running around the map and looting, so just playing Fortnite isn't going to be enough to improve your box fighting skills to the level that you want. Instead, you're going to want to go into Fortnite Creative and play maps that are specifically designed for practicing box fights, and I'll leave some codes for some good box fighting maps in the description. And if you don't have any friends to box fight with, don't worry, because the Fortnite community is absolutely massive and there are a bunch of places you can look to find people to play with. For example, you can use the looking for group section on Fortnite Tracker or join a Discord server such as the FNPL, or you can use Reddit and so on. But it's important that you look for players that are slightly better than you. This is where Fortnite Tracker can be useful because you can look up a player's stats and compare them with your own. If you play against someone worse than you, someone that you can easily beat every time, then you're not going to improve. In fact, this could actually make you a worse player. Of course, you don't want to play against someone that's so far ahead of you that you get crushed every time, because this will lead to you getting demotivated and giving up. Ideally, you want to play against someone that can beat you as many times as you can tolerate, and that could be 6 or 7 or 8 times out of 10. And when you find players that are this level and they can beat you as much as you can tolerate, You want to add them and keep playing with them until you can beat them more times than they can beat you. This can serve as your benchmark and motivation to improve. Now the final box fighting tip I have for you is to experiment with different techniques. Do you do the same thing in every box fight? The same techniques? And the same edits? Sure, what you're doing may work some of the time, but it's not going to work in every situation and against all sorts of players. You see, Fortnite is very diverse and very situational, so it's important that you have a wide array of skills at your disposal and that you're prepared for anything. This is why it's important to play box fighting maps, because it encourages you to try new things. And when you do the same things over and over again, when box fighting against a particular opponent over a number of rounds, they're going to adapt and learn how to counter you. So you're going to get forced to try new techniques. Here are some wall edits you can try when box fighting that'll work particularly well. You have the window edit, which is a classic edit that most of you are probably familiar with and maybe expecting. So because of this, you want to make sure you're taking full advantage of the right-hand peak. You have the top row edit. So when you edit out the top row, you're going to be able to jump and take a shot at your opponent, and they'll only have a split second to react. And it's even better if you can time the edit and the shot while jumping. You also have a top corner edit, which is similar to the top row edit. This will catch your opponents by surprise, and you can go for a jump shot, and they'll only have a limited time to react. And you finally have the partial wall edit, which is an unusual edit that can give you a good amount of cover if done right, while completely exposing your opponent. The edit mechanics on this can be a little tricky, so you're going to want to practice a lot in the creative mode. Of course, I can't tell you the best technique for every situation, so you're going to have to experiment and make a lot of mistakes, because that's how you're going to learn and improve. So to conclude, box fighting is one of the most important things to get good at in Fortnite, and it's important that you hone your mechanical skills to be able to make the quick plays necessary to win the fight. But even if your mechanical skills aren't the best, you can get kills by outplaying your opponents and using the tricks and mind games mentioned in this post. And you want to get your ping as low as possible when you box fight, because when you have a low ping, you'll have a better chance of successfully replacing your opponent's wall. Of course, you want to have your keybinds optimized as well, because you're going to need to have good control over your movement binds, as well as your building, editing, and weapon binds if you want to succeed at box fighting. Also, it's going to be an advantage to increase your FPS in Fortnite, because high FPS will enable you to see more information and allow everything to be more fluid, and higher FPS has actually been proven to make you a better gamer. But ultimately, it's going to take a lot of practice if you want to become an expert at box fighting. So what are you waiting for? Go and start practicing box fighting now. That's the end of this video, and I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, because it really helps my channel grow. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day. Peace.